Welcome to Stories in the Seventh State, where we bring Maryland stories to life. I'm your host, Shane Hall, and each week we'll explore the real, the remarkable, and the rarely told stories that shape life in the Seventh State. From local legends to hidden histories and modern-day makers, these are the stories that define Maryland. Imagine the winter of 1697. The kind of winter where breath freezes before it leaves your lips, and snow crunches sharp underfoot like breaking glass. A winter where survival itself feels like a gamble. In the woods outside Leonardtown, Maryland, a hut burns. Flames crackle. Sparks rise into the black sky. A woman stumbles out, her shawl clutched in her thin frame. Behind her neighbors, torches in hand. Their faces hard, their voices carrying the word witch. Her name was Moll Dyer. Tonight, we're telling her story. The woman driven into the frozen woods. The woman said to have cursed her town. The woman who became Maryland's real Blair Witch. Leonardtown was a small place then. A muddy crossroads with a courthouse at the center. A scattering of timber homes. Fields pressed against the edge of the dense woods. Everyone knew everyone. And in a world that small, being different was dangerous. The late 1600s were years of fear. Salem, Massachusetts had already accused and executed 20 witches just a few years before. Maryland didn't see hysteria on the same scale, but the suspicion lived here too. Records show scattered accusations of witchcraft between 1654 and 1712. The winter of 1697 and 1698 was particularly brutal. Crops failed, incredible cold, livestock died. A deadly influenza epidemic swept through St. Mary's County. People coughed blood. Children wasted away. To deeply religious colonists, disasters weren't random. They were punishment. And punishment needs a cause. And so they looked to Moll Dyer. But why her? What made neighbors see an old woman and decide that she was the devil's handmaid? Moll Dyer lived apart. At the edge of the settlement, she was poor. Some say she was a widow, others say that she never married. She survived by gathering herbs, brewing teas, offering remedies. Knowledge that today we'd call folk medicine. Back then it could make you useful, or suspicious. Neighbors whispered. If the cow died, it was Moll. If the fever spread, it was Moll. And when enough went wrong in their minds, it had to be her fault. We know almost nothing certain about Moll Dyer and her story. No trial records, no census logs, just stories. But folklorist Lynn Bonvieri argues she may have been a real woman. Mary Dyer, born in 1634, who lived in St. Mary's County. Mary was an indentured servant from the Caribbean, who came north, who knew herbs, who lived alone. If so, we can imagine her days, gathering plants at the stream, tending a small garden by her hut, offering a bitter-tasting tea to a neighbor with fever. Picture her, lined face, eyes sharp, voice cracked but steady, independent, unafraid. And in a society that demanded conformity, that was enough to mark her. Think about it. How often do communities, even today, push away the eccentric, the poor, the outsider? Moll's story is old, but it's also familiar. One night, in February 1697, a group of men gathered. Some say it was a sober meeting at the almshouse. Others say that it was drunken anger. Either way, their decision was the same. Moll Dyer was a witch, and she had to go. They marched to her hut with torches. The walls caught quickly. Flames roared. Moll stumbled out into the night, the fire painting her face orange. She fled into the woods. The ground was ice, the air biting, each breath cutting her throat. Branches clawed her arms, snow fell heavy. She ran until her strength gave away. They found her days later, kneeling on a great stone, one hand pressed into its surface, the other raised as if in prayer or in curse, frozen in place, dead of exposure. And from that moment, the legend says, Moll Dyer's curse began. Her curse was simple, that the land and the men who betrayed her would suffer as she did, and for centuries people swore that that curse was real. Blighted crops, sick livestock, sudden storms sweeping through St. Mary's County, a shadowy figure wandering near the ravine, will-o'-the-wisp lights in the swamp, even a headless rider seen at midnight. Children grew up warned, behave, or Moll Dyer will get you. And at the center of it all, the stone, Moll Dyer's rock. For centuries it lay in the woods, avoided by locals. In 1972, it was moved to the courthouse lawn, where it sits today. And even today, people say that touching it brings dizziness, illness, and even camera failures. Others leave flowers or coins to appease Moll's spirit. So was it really a curse? Or just guilt carried forward by each generation? A community telling itself the same story till it feels true. There is no court record. There's no official trial. There's nothing in the archives. And yet, Moll Dyer's name appears on deeds and surveys like Moll Dyer's Run, Moll Dyer's Hill. And an 1892 newspaper, the St. Mary's Beacon, has an account that retells her discovery frozen on the stone. By the late 1800s, her story was entrenched enough that newspapers repeated it as fact. Here's the paradox. The Blair Witch Project convinced audiences by inventing fake documents, fake interviews, fake lore. Moll Dyer convinces because her story has no documents at all. Only whispers, place names, and one cold stone. Today, Leonardtown doesn't fear Moll Dyer. It honors her. The rock sits on display. Every February, the town marks Moll Dyer Day. Not to celebrate the curse, but to promote kindness, to undo cruelty. Some historians believe that she was real. She was a woman that was misunderstood, scapegoated, erased. Others say her story is pure legend, but either way, it resonates. Burkittsville had the Blair Witch, a hoax that terrified for one summer. Leonardtown had Moll Dyer, a legend that has endured for more than 300 years. Moll Dyer's story isn't just a ghost tale. It's a warning, a reminder of what fear can do to a community. Was she a witch? A healer? A woman who paid the price for being different? We'll never know. But her curse still whispers on the wind. Not in Leonardtown, but on all of us. This has been Stories in the Seventh State, part of the Housecats podcast network. Subscribe wherever you listen and join us next time as we uncover more legends, myths, and hidden histories of our great state of Maryland.